This is From Justin to Kane, a podcast where Mike Robertson and Bob LaRue watch one critically acclaimed film and one terrible film and talk about how they are the same. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of From Justin to Kane. We're still here. I'm still Bob.
I'm still Mike.
Yep, he's the same old guy. It's not somebody else pretending to be Mike and doing a really good impression. I promise you. This week, as I always say, we've got a real doozy.
Correct.
Don't we, Mike?
We do have an incredible doozy, actually.
Big doozy. Just left a doozy all over the place on this one for sure. Although I was telling Mike, okay, so our two films are Speed from 1994. I should know that. That's the film I researched. And then when did Meet the Spartans come out?
It was released in 2008.
Oh, 2008. Okay. Sort of amidst the economic collapse, or
yeah, I guess, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was released in January of 2008. So I thought it was 2007 all this time, but my brain forgot.
So Mike asked me if I watched the film last night, and the answer is yes, but I didn't finish it. Mm-hmm. And when I paused it, there was like 25 minutes left. This film is only 70 minutes long.
Yes.
And I turned it off because I was so angry at how bad it was, and it just wasn't, it was so charmless.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, it really feels like it's over, but there's 25 minutes. And then I turned it on this morning when I woke up, and there's just like 20 minutes of either credits or bits they didn't include in the film, or they never had planned to, and they just filmed every scene to be longer with more jokes, like the pit joke.
Yeah.
Throwing people into that pit. Bunch more people.
So many people.
Spider-Man 3 and Donald Trump. Lots of stuff. None of it is funny. But you got to sit through it.
Yeah, and we did.
It's a lot. It's like 20% of the film.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a little weird, and I hated it. So I have a question. Is Meet the Spartans part of the like early aughts to late aughts movement of the Meet the Blank thing? You know, there's just a whole film franchise of like Meet the Fockers, Meet the Parents. They're all the same franchise, right?
I mean, yeah, I mean, you can make an argument for it for sure.
And then is that like where the title came from, I wonder?
Well, yeah.
It must be.
Yeah, it's definitely where the title came from. Whether or not it's from that franchise is like up to you to like kind of conspire about. But
well, this film is shrouded in conspiracy, right, Mike?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. How about, so Mike told me some very interesting information, which we did not record, but I'm going to make him say it again.
Which is what?
About the directors' names.
Oh, right. So there is a conspiracy theory, yes, about... So if people don't know what Meet the Spartans is, it is a spoof movie of the movie 300. It is directed by Aaron Seltzer and Jason Friedberg, and they are two filmmakers. One of them is from Canada.
Oh, good.
Aaron Seltzer's his family is from Mississauga, Ontario.
Well, I guess first similarity, the screenwriter for Speed is Canadian.
Really? Who is it?
His name is Graham Yost, and his dad was a TV personality in Canada.
Oh.
He was like a host on some sort of variety show or something in Toronto.
He can boast that his dad Yost was a host. The most. So
you know what? I think maybe you just fly solo on this episode, Mike. I don't think you need me here. That was really cool. That was super neat
fun
stuff.
So anyway. Yeah, so these guys make spoof movies. So they've made Date Movie, they've made Scary Movie, which is an interesting story of how they got involved with that movie. I will tell you this. Date Movie, Epic Movie, Meet the Spartans, Disaster Movie, Vampires Suck, which is like a parody of Twilight. Mm-hmm. And then Starving Games is the Hunger Games. And Superfast is a Fast and the Furious parody.
I wish they stuck with the word movie being in all the titles, because it sort of adds a nice consistency.
Yeah, I know.
Like Starving Games, you're like, oh, okay. It'd be cooler if it was like hungry movie.
I know.
Like, why not just? Yeah,
Well, they should have called it
that's
young adult
disappointing.
movie, but now we're brainstorming for them for free. So
Yeah, and they really don't deserve our intellectual properties.
no. Supposedly they were going to make a parody of Taken and other kind of like dad action movies called "Who the F Took My Daughter," and it's like the word with all of the asterisks and like the this comic book swears.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh, that's kind of a funny title.
That's funny.
Just releasing a movie called "Who the F Took My Daughter."
Yeah, that would be good as like an SNL trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like fleshing it out for 70 minutes of just terrible comedy.
Exactly.
Where there's a Shrek baby and
hey,
happy
spoilers.
feet 69ing you and shitting on your face, you know, all that good stuff. Ugh.
There is a conspiracy theory that Aaron Seltzer and Jason Friedberg are, in fact, pen names for Steven Soderberg, because Seltzer is a type of soda and Berg is in Friedberg's name, so Soderberg. And people are like, that doesn't make sense. Why would Soderberg do that? Is because Soderberg, those two supposedly were trying to get a biopic of Liberace made, and it never happened. But then Steven Soderberg eventually did, and that's as far as it goes. But people believe it.
So, like, to spite him, they did it?
No, I mean they don't exist.
Oh, it's just him.
He's just doing it to make money on the side. He's making these just garbage films. But
right.
I feel like it would have gotten out as being true at some point. But they're also famously reclusive.
Well, yeah, like you said, it's really hard to find interviews, and there's almost no information on the internet, which is an ever-expanding, source of information.
Yeah, and well, I mean, also like there's pictures. There's pictures of them.
Oh,
there's red carpet photos of them.
But it's all like that shaky Super 8, like Sasquatch walking through the forest, and it's like in a profile, and that's the only footage that exists of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, the only footage we can get is from this flip phone from 2004. And no matter how much we up-res it, we can't actually see their faces.
I mean,
and then all the on-set photos are just their backs, or like a close-up on their shirt, and it says like "I'm with stupid," and the other one says "I'm stupid."
There was actually a behind-the-scenes for Meet the Spartans video that I watched part of before I realized that it was telling me no information, and it was just Ike Barinholtz, the guy who plays a bunch of characters in this movie, just goofing around and pranking people, probably
having
on his day off.
Yeah.
But the directors appear, but you only see the back of their head, and they keep turning away from the camera just so that their faces aren't seen. So
literally, my bit is reality.
It is kind of true, yeah.
Dang, I bet you they don't actually exist.
They might not.
What if Steven Soderbergh hired two people to play those directors, but he's actually directing the films, and there's little speakers in their ears, and he's directing from his apartment or whatever?
I don't know. I feel like he's got better things to do than hire two people to direct a parody of 300.
I wouldn't say that.
I mean, in terms of the money, these movies made a lot of money.
Do have they all done well financially?
Not all of them, but
which one?
Meet the Spartans was a gigantic hit.
What?
Amongst their bigger hits. So
that's upsetting.
I'll run it down. So they wrote the movie Spy Hard with Leslie Nielsen and Weird Al in the mid 90s, and that was their first big hit. But that only made $30 million about on a budget of 18. Scary Movie, which I will get into how they're involved with that, was a budget of $20 million, and it made almost 300. So Scary Movie was a gigantic hit. Date Movie and Epic Movie both had a budget of $20 million and made 85-ish on average. Meet the Spartans had 30 and also made about $85 million. Wow. And Vampires Suck made about $80 million, and then every other one was profitable. No, actually, none of them were profitable except for Disaster Movie, which only made $34 million and came out the same year as Meet the Spartans. So they made two in 1 year. But then they made The Starving Games and a movie called Best Night Ever and Superfast, and those all didn't even crack $5
million. Yeah,
Best Night Ever didn't even do $500,000.
Wow, that is honestly difficult.
Well, but also it is not a parody film. Yeah, it's kind of like a found footage movie in the style of The Hangover, but about 4 women who have like a bachelorette party.
Right.
And it's like a passion project of theirs. So
interesting.
Anyway, so I guess we're talking about these guys or about this movie first.
Yeah, it's so organic, isn't it? How we got to this place. I think people, they can say what they will about this show, but organic is definitely one of the things that I've been reading about our show from a lot of the sort of documentation that people are creating.
So one samesy off the bat, they did a uncredited rewrite of the Jean-Claude Van Damme film Maximum Risk.
Oh, wow.
And so both movies are written by people who have written an action film before.
Here's another samesy. Both, I guess, sort of, they did an uncredited rewrite on that Jean-Claude Van Damme film. And Joss Whedon did an uncredited rewrite on the entire script of Speed week before production started.
How is that possible?
He rewrote every line of dialogue.
Oh, really?
So all the beats are the same, but the dialogue was rewritten. He was like the funny guy who like made it better because the original screenwriter is terrible with dialogue apparently.
I mean I don't care for Joss Whedon dialogue. I think it's bad.
I don't either. I think there's like, I love Speed as a kid, but there were moments rewatching it where I was like, that's a bit much.
Yeah. I mean, there was a couple of points where it was really building tension in a good way. And then there would just be like a little funny part. And like, understandably, you can diffuse tension that way if you are wanting to, but sometimes it just really felt a little bit just like, no, just keep cranking up the tension, man. This is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, another samesy between the two films is they were both #1 hits.
Yeah, they both made a shitload of money on their release.
Yeah. Both #1, opened at #1 in the box office, which is insane.
Yeah, didn't they both win the Oscar for Best Sound Editing as well?
They did, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought, say what you will about Meet the Spartans, it sounds really good.
It does sound good, yeah.
The Foley when he's beating up his own baby is really crisp.
Yeah, they do have some funny sound effects. I'll give them that. But
yeah, great sound design and editing.
So there's not a lot of information about Meet the Spartans itself, the movie, the production of the film, because I think they were just churning these films out at this point. But I think that the two filmmakers themselves are kind of interesting, just in that they are able to make movies regularly. So the kind of history of them is that they were college friends, and they weren't filmmakers necessarily. They didn't go to school for film. One was into art history, and the other one got a history major. So they were into history, I guess, in general.
I think everyone should understand that as you say this, it's with the reality that they don't actually exist.
Oh, yeah.
This is all a conspiracy that was written by
Soderberg.
Steven Soderberg. He wrote their backstories. He wrote how they met. Just saying. Anyways, continue.
So, yeah, there is... so they just kind of like were trying to break into Hollywood, though, after they saw Goodfellas in college and were like, this is a great movie. We should be filmmakers. But then they also were like, we love spoof movies, kind of like Airplane, Naked Gun and stuff. So they're like, well, let's make a gangster movie where he says, you think I'm a clown to you or whatever. And then he looks over and he's dressed like a clown.
Wow, that's really funny.
Yeah, very funny.
That's a great bit.
So Friedberg, his dad, I guess, was a filmmaker or a freelance director rather. And so he just kind of would do random comedy projects or just random commercials. So he had directed the music video Hot for Teacher by Van Halen. Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen's Brother for Sale.
Wow.
Are among two of his projects and a bunch of commercials. So Leslie Nielsen had like a spoof golf tape that he was working on. Bad Golf Made Easier is what it's called. So it's just like a bunch of like straight to video, like little comedy tapes about golfing for dads.
Really a guy in his twilight, hey?
But so the two, Friedberg and Seltzer, had been just kind of writing scripts since they got to LA, just writing scripts every single night and just churning out a bunch of stuff. So they had like a huge like pile of scripts that they had worked on. They say up to 40 scripts that they had kind of like worked on before they made one.
Wow.
And so they had a spy movie called Spy Hard, which I saw in the theater in the 60s or in the 90s,
Oh man.
which I saw in the 90s. And
It's a whole other conspiracy about what your actual age is. You know what I mean?
oh, wow.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
This is our conspiracy episode.
Yeah.
So Friedberg's dad was directing this Leslie Nielsen tape, and so Friedberg gave it to his script to his dad and was like, give this to Leslie Nielsen, he'll appreciate it. And then Leslie Nielsen liked it and was like, let's make it. So they got the movie made, and then got on the Writers Guild, and then that's how they got the Maximum Risk uncredited rewrite. But they wrote this movie called Scream, If You Know What I Did Last Halloween, which is a parody of like 90s kind of meta horror films.
Well, like I Know What You Did Last Summer, that franchise, right?
Yeah, just like those horror films from the 90s that kind of brought the slasher back.
Mm-hmm.
Like cool teen 90s horror films.
Kind of your peak,
kind of
that era, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was when Mike was really hitting his
When
stride.
I peaked in high school,
Yeah.
is what you're saying.
Yes.
So apparently the Wayans brothers were working on a similar project at the exact same time.
Yes. And they're the Scary Movie guys, yeah?
Yeah, and they made a movie called Scary Movie, but they were both sold to the Weinstein company Dimension Films.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Weinstein read it and found their Scream If You Know What I Did Last Halloween project to be hilarious, even though nobody else in Hollywood thought it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
And so so Dimension owned the rights to the script, and then the Wayans brothers were trying to do a thing, and they pitched it to Dimension as well a year later. And then just through some Writers Guild kind of finagling, the Friedberg and Seltzer guys got the writing credit on this movie, even though they had not touched it whatsoever. So it's interesting because if you read interviews with them, or if you look at their IMDb or Wikipedia, or even just or their credits on like movie trailers, it'll say from two of the writers of Scary Movie.
Oh, weird.
And they're even credited as like based on characters created by, like for Scary Movie 2 through 5. So they get a little bit of a paycheck for those other movies too.
That must be so frustrating for
who?
For the Wayans brothers.
Oh, I don't think that they care. It's just money that, I guess they don't normally get, but also those guys didn't do literally anything on those particular movies. They just happened to have come up with a, very similar, pretty obvious idea at the same time.
Yeah.
And so they just lucked out.
That's the American dream.
But it's interesting because they still talk about it as if they had done anything on Scary Movie 2, but they didn't create any of the characters. They didn't write any of the things that happened in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think they may have worked on Scary Movie 3, but the Wayans brothers were no longer involved, I think, at that point. Anyway, so that's kind of interesting that they didn't work on Scary Movie whatsoever, but it's their biggest hit. And they're credited it just because they had a similar idea. And so they just kind of really lucked out. They kind of fell ass backwards into just this career for themselves.
Doesn't this sort of support the theory that they don't actually exist?
In a way, it does.
Like, I feel like it's sort of another nail in the coffin, so to speak.
So you think that Steven Soderberg was kind of trying to get Scary Movie made? He helped it get made?
I've seen a lot of Soderbergh films, and some of them stink. Big, stinky turds.
Yeah.
And, the guy has dicey taste.
Okay. Well, then you're on the side of him being these guys.
I think he is.
You buy into it?
I do. I think it's the real deal.
Okay. So after they made that movie, they made Date Movie, Epic Movie, Meet the Spartans, Disaster Movie, blah, blah, blah. Kind of all using the same framework that Scary Movie established of kind of parody a genre, use the word movie in the title, and just throwing a bunch of references to things that have nothing to do with the genre.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's kind of their, like, how they kind of got it made. Supposedly, when they do screen tests for these films, they never show them to people under the age of 25.
Over the age of 25.
Yeah. Which I mean makes sense because that's kind of the audience for this, like probably frat boys, or teenagers. Like I'm sure there's a lot of teenagers who were just like, oh man, I love Meet the Spartans when it came out because they were 10 and they didn't know nothing.
Yeah, they didn't know nothing.
And I just wanted so there's not really anything about the movie itself, but I did want to read this excerpt from a Slate article about Meet the Spartans. So it says, Meet the Spartans, the latest spoof from scary movie / date movie / epic movie auteurs Friedberg and Seltzer, begins with King Leonidas from 300 getting crapped on by a dancing penguin who exclaims, "I'm about to make you my bitch." It ends with, spoiler alert, a Stallone impersonator gyrating in the outfit Britney Spears wore to the MTV Awards. In between, there are thousands of gay jokes, thousands of even worse gay jokes, and a fake in-movie commercials for Gatorade and Dentine Ice. The action regularly stops so the characters can be evaluated by the judges from American Idol, America's Next Top Model, Dancing with the Stars. Those who stick around for the closing credits are treated to the sight of George W. Bush getting kicked in the nuts. Judging by the respective approval ratings of Bush, 31%, and the Friedberg-Seltzer comedy team, between 2 and 3%, according to Rotten Tomatoes. Audiences would have preferred to see Bush, or perhaps even Stalin, kick Friedberg and Seltzer in the balls.
Sorry, who wrote that? Roger Ebert?
Josh Levin for Slate.com. It says, isn't it a massive consumer fraud to charge $10.50 for a barely hour-long movie? Perhaps, but it would have been unforgivable to make Meet the Spartans any longer than an hour. This is the worst movie I've ever seen, so bad that I hesitate to label it a movie, in quotes, and thus reflect shame upon the entire medium of film. Friedberg and Seltzer do not practice the same craft as P.T. Anderson, David Cronenberg, Michael Bay, Kevin Costner, or the Zucker brothers, the Wayans brothers, Yui Bowl, any dad who takes a shaky home movies on a camping trip, or a bear who turns on a video camera by accident while trying to eat it. They are not filmmakers. They are evildoers, charlatans, symbols of Western civilizations decline under the weight of too many pop culture references.
I love that.
Yeah, that is, I don't know, that I think sums it up.
That's so well articulated.
Yeah, they really dunked on him hard.
And then if you take the first letter of every word in the article, it spells the two filmmakers don't actually exist, and it is, in fact, Steven Soderberg.
Yes.
They couldn't nail the end with the letters. They just couldn't figure it
out. They also failed to mention Deal or No Deal, which takes a big chunk of the film.
That's right.
And there's also a dance battle.
This movie, this picture, we'll call it, definitely sort of reminded me of things that I used to watch on TV as a kid. And I was like, oh yeah, Deal or No Deal. I forgot about that show.
Yeah.
There was some slight reminders.
It seemed like, there was also, I think there was also Wild and Out. I don't know if you remember that show.
No, I don't.
Nick Cannon used to host like an improv show.
Oh, good.
They don't really reference it in this movie, which is odd because they constantly are just saying the reference that they're doing. Like they'll be like, "Hey, look, it's Spider-Man," or "Hey, look, it's Dane Cook."
Yeah.
Like they'll say stuff like that. But there's a scene in the movie where they don't really ever show the 300 guys battling. So they'll always kind of have a different kind of battle. One of them is a dance battle, and then they also have like a Yo Mama contest with like just a bunch of random black people who just show up to say Yo Mama jokes. One of them is Tiffany Haddish.
Oh, that's
the main woman
right.
who just kind of is the only funny one.
Yes.
She's that was, that's her before she was famous.
Yeah.
So but wild, totally wild. And lest we forget that it's specifically a parody of the movie 300.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not of a genre, just the film 300.
Yeah. But then they also will reference Shrek, Casino Royale, Happy Feet, American Idol, Ghost Rider, Spider-Man 3, Rocky for some reason.
Yeah.
And the guy who says, "Leave Britney alone."
Did you giggle like a small child when you saw the Shrek baby? Because I know you're a real Shrekophile.
No, I was like, what are you doing with my boy?
Yeah, I guess it's sacrilege.
Yeah.
It's like blasphemy to use Shrek in this context. Yeah. It was horrifying.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, they massacred my boy. That's okay. Wow. I should never do impressions.
Oh man, that was great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to sum up like a moment from the film,
yes,
the guy who plays the Prince of the Persians, whatever that guy's character's name is,
Xerxes,
King Xerxes. That's right. So
yeah, Xerxes. Yeah,
Ken Davitian from Borat.
Yeah.
Plays the King Xerxes, and when he shows up, one of the characters says, "Hey, you look like the fat guy from Borat.
Yeah, and it is him.
And it is him. And then the car that he's in turns into a transformer from the movie Transformers.
Yes.
And then the TV screen on the Transformers chest has the Leave Britney Alone guy. I guess the 300 guys get annoyed by this, and that's like kind of like his power move is like, oh, we're so annoyed. And then the robot falls on them, and then I guess that's kind of the end of the movie. They die.
Yeah, well, he's plugged into the wall, right?
Yeah.
He's not a battery-powered transformer. He's got to be plugged in.
Yeah.
Like my vacuum.
But I kind of fell asleep at the end because I was watching this at like midnight, and I was sleepy.
Same.
I was sleepy.
I was scrolling Instagram and watching it at the same time, aka I was not actively watching this film. I just wanted it to be over.
I think I kind of fell asleep after the robot fell on them, and then I woke up, and then they were singing "I Will Survive" on American Idol.
Yes.
And I was like, what did I miss? And then I rewound it, and turns out nothing. That was literally the next scene. And it didn't really make any sense. So
you're very generous calling it a scene. That's really nice of you.
Yeah. To speak about it anymore would just be us kind of like dunking on it. And it's been dunked on a million times.
Yeah, and I don't think it's worth talking about anymore.
No, and I mean, we have some samesies to get to, and we'll definitely dunk on it then.
Yeah, well, it's sort of the celebrity dunk contest, if you know what I mean, because that just happened over the weekend. So This is our dunk contest. I'm like a little bit angry with you for suggesting it and making me watch it. This is a real test of our friendship, I think.
Oh.
You really pushed me to my limit.
But the thing is with this podcast is you have to hit like new lows when it comes to the best and worst movie, you know? So
instead of rock bottom, we're like into magma bottom and like whatever the middle of the earth is called, that red ball of heat. That's kind of the bottom we've hit.
Yeah.
With some of these films in the last like 3 months.
I mean, this movie is actually not as bad as Disaster Movie.
Right. I've never seen Disaster Movie.
I had like this weird fascination with it when it came out because it was so bad, but then also it didn't parody a single disaster film.
Right.
So it was just
well, because they stopped making them in the 70s. Like disaster movies like Towering Inferno and Earthquake and stuff, and Poseidon Adventure, they stopped making that shit decades ago.
Yeah. Like it doesn't really parody disaster movies. There was Cloverfield was a thing at the time. Which is kind of the main plot of disaster movie, but not really. And Twister, I think they mentioned, I'm just looking this up on Wikipedia, but for the most part, it's like An Incredible Hulk, The Dark Knight, High School Musical, Juno, The Simpsons movie, Indiana Jones, 10,000 BC, whatever that is, American Gladiators, The Day After Tomorrow. I guess that's a disaster movie. Hancock, Superbad, Night at the Museum, Speed Racer, just goes on and on. So, and
you know what's interesting about that? So I just watched the Lego Batman movie, and it's like ostensibly the exact same formula, but they kind of pull it off.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like this self-aware thing, but there's still like some heart to it.
Yeah.
And they poke fun at the things that are ridiculous without devaluing it. Whereas these guys seem to not understand that.
And at a certain point, it's like, yeah, what are things that came out this year? It seems to be the thing. They just talk about when they're trying to figure out what things that they should make parodies of. They say the genre or the franchise needs to be sufficiently iconic and so earnest that it's basically begging to be lampooned. So there you go.
I hate this film. Okay, let's talk about Speed.
Yeah, we got to talk about Speed.
We'll call this the Speed round.
Ooh, nice. I love it.
Nice. Fucking nailed it. All right. Speed, released in 1994, the year of our Lord. Directed by Jan de Bont or Jan de Bont?
I'm not sure. I think it's Jan de Bont.
I'm going to call him Jan for the rest of this. Jan de Bont, written by Graham Yost, starring Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock, Dennis Hopper, and Jeff Daniels. So I guess another samesy, this film is just inspired by a bunch of Hollywood tropes that this screenwriter saw in a bunch of different movies, and then he's just like, it'd be sick if they were all in one movie.
Oh, really?
So the story is, Graham Yost was told by his dad, who's some sort of Canadian celebrity, to watch the 1985 film starring Jon Voight, Runaway Train, which is about a runaway train. But his dad explained it to him in such a manner that he thought it couldn't slow down because of a bomb. And then that film, Runaway Train, is based off of an Akira Kurosawa script that was never made from 1965. But I don't know what that film is. I don't know what the vehicle was involved. Probably a train as well, if it's the 60s. But anyways, so Graham Yost watched the film and thought, you know what would make this movie better? If there was a bomb on the train, and that's why it couldn't slow down.
Yeah.
I think the brakes broke or something, so it's just a train that couldn't stop. But he's like, no, a bomb would be better. So he wrote this script, and originally the speed was 20 miles per hour.
Right.
And then a friend watched or read the script, and he's like, you know what would make this way more intense? And he's like, what? He's like, why not make it 50 miles an hour?
Yeah.
It's just a little, it's better. 50 is more intense, because that's pretty fucking fast.
Well, it's an even number.
Yeah, but 20 is pretty slow.
But also, from a Canadian perspective, is 60 miles an hour is 100 miles an hour, or 100 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
So 50 miles an hour is 80 something.
Yeah, it's almost 90 clicks.
So why not just make it 60 miles an hour? Because then everybody knows how fast that is if they convert it to kilometers.
Well, I think that's just too fast. Doing 100 is too fast. I think you would have taken it too far.
But I can't feel the difference between 100 and 90.
I can.
Oh, okay, fine.
Clearly, you weren't part of the film Need for Speed or whatever that the fake Steven Soderberg made.
That's true, yeah.
Spoofing Fast and Furious. Anyways, also this screenwriter is not a good screenwriter. He's good at, I think he's like George Lucas. He's good at a base idea, but finishing and following through really doesn't seem to be a strong suit. So in the original script, also the original name was Minimum Speed.
Oh, goodness.
Which sucks. The original script, the entire movie takes place on the bus. There isn't a single scene that isn't on the bus, which is a red flag right there.
Okay.
And they were just driving around Dodger Stadium the whole time because it's one giant loop.
Yeah.
And it ends with the bus driving through the Hollywood sign and destroying it.
Fun.
So this is the original script, and honestly, it sounds terrible. The movie was offered to John McTiernan, who directed Die Hard, Predator, and Hunt for the Red October. He was an A-list action guy.
Nice.
And he declined, but
there's a connection right there.
Oh, shit, what?
Die Hard and Spy Hard.
That's right.
We'll go on.
And that penguin from Happy Feet was hard.
Yeah.
As he shit on that lead character's face.
That's
as
right.
They were 69ing, and he's put his snowballs on his face.
That's right, yeah.
I hate that movie.
And the character has to be you have happy feet.
Yeah.
They say that to him just so you're oh, I see.
Yeah. Oh, it's you're not spoofing March of the Penguins from 2005, the amazing Oscar-winning documentary. Anyways, so John McTiernan declined because he thought it was too much Die Hard.
Mm-hmm.
But he offered his DP, Jan de Bont, to be the director, and Jan has a huge resume of action movies as a cinematographer, so they thought that he was well equipped to do a project like this.
Interesting.
They went to Paramount. Paramount was going to greenlight it, but then they couldn't get John McTiernan, and they couldn't figure out who to cast it, so they ended up passing on the script, and it went to 20th Century Fox, who greenlit it with the condition that they needed to add action sequences that weren't on a bus.
Right.
So then they wrote in the elevator and the train, which makes the film infinitely better.
Yeah. The elevator
that
part,
opening with the elevator is sick.
It is really good, and it also kind of sets everything up.
Well, you learn all the characters, right?
Yeah.
Imagine it's oh yeah, Keanu Reeves is on a bus. It's who is this fucking guy? But instead, and it also introduces the villain. I think a bunch of whims happened on the script, which all helped it, which is interesting. So anyways, they rewrote this whole script to add these moments and introduce the characters. And then Joss Whedon, as I said before, was brought in a week before production to rewrite Apparently, he wrote 98% of the dialogue.
I mean, it was fine, sure.
Including the line, "Pop quiz, asshole."
Oh, really?
Which is famous. So originally, I don't know who Jeff Speakman is. Do you know who that is?
No.
He was offered the role. He was signed on originally when it was at Paramount Studios, but then it fell through and he left. And then guess who 20th Century Fox offered the film to?
Steven Seagal?
No, but great guess. It's Stephen Baldwin.
Oh, okay.
And then he declined because he thought it was too much like Bruce Willis's character in Die Hard. And then Jan de Bont saw, what's the surfing movie we did? Cut Break?
Break.
Breakpoint.
Point Break.
Point Break. Yeah. Anyways, he saw that and he's like, you know, it would be really good, Keanu Reeves. But he has longer hair in that movie, and so they buzzed it for the movie, which made the studios nervous.
Why?
Because action heroes can't have like super, super short hair.
Why?
I don't know, man. Dude, don't yell at me, Mike. I don't know these things, okay?
Bruce Willis has got famously short hair / no hair, depending on what movie he's in.
His hair is extremely short.
Yeah.
About as short as it can physically get.
Yeah.
It's still inside of his head. Anyways, so, Point Break. I wrote that down. I didn't need to fucking grill you on that, but you passed the test anyways.
Thank you.
So Reeves was picked. They had to buzz his hair. He worked out in a gym for 2 months to get like a little buffer.
Mm-hmm.
At which point his hair grew in a little bit. So his hair is a little bit thicker in the movie and on the poster. Because he was like down to the skin. Kind of like The Matrix, actually, which happened several years later. And he also had worked with the LA cops on Point Break, so he had like a bunch of cop research, and he saw that they really cared for human life, and he wanted to put that in his character.
Okay.
And Keanu Reeves was also
This was like a year
why.
after. This was like a year or two after Rodney King.
Yeah. Yes.
And like the same year as OJ.
Yep. No, just dicey. Everything's a bit dicey. But here's a reason like Joss Whedon came in, because he thought the dialogue was so shitty.
Keanu did?
Yeah.
I mean,
the role of Annie, get this. So Halle Berry was originally cast, and she was the role of Annie was rewritten like 8 times. She was a driving instructor. She was I forget what the first one was, but it was like to justify that she could drive a bus.
Yeah.
She was like a garbage truck driver or something. I don't know. Anyways, they kept rewriting this character, but Halle Berry was signed on and then left. Then they offered it to Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Then they offered it to Meryl Streep.
Okay.
And Kim Basinger.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah. And then eventually it went to my gal, Sandra Bullock. Oscar winner, Sandra Bullock.
Rom-com queen.
Yeah, apparently in the audition process, they needed to see if they had chemistry, so they did a bunch of scenes while rolling around on the floor together, just kind of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And Jan de Bont was like, oh yeah, they got chemistry. Oh, babe, I got a Jan de Bont in my pants.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, so during production, this is sort of tragic, but River Phoenix died, and they had to reschedule the entire movie kind of around Keanu Reeves because they were very, very close friends, and he was in mourning. So they had to shift a bunch of the hard scenes to later in the production and do some of the easier ones first,
right? Just
to ease Keanu Reeves back in because he was quite emotional during the production. The film was primarily filmed. Oh, they used like 8 buses also.
Oh, wow.
There was like a bus for every version. There was a bus that could go real fast. There was a bus with no front so that they could shoot into it for all the people stuff. There was a bus just for the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
There was a bus just for the jump. They actually jumped the bus.
Really?
Yeah, it's real. So they like supercharged this bus. They built a huge ramp for it to give it enough height. And they put a stunt driver in cables so his butt wasn't on the chair so that when it landed, he wouldn't snap his spine and die or become paralyzed.
Right.
Because apparently in the late 80s and into the 90s, they were doing a bunch of car stunts with stunt drivers just in the chair. But the impact was so intense that it was paralyzing stunt performers.
Oh, God.
So this was like a new innovation to have them in basically like springy cables that would take the impact. So nobody was on the bus except for a stunt driver, and the stunt driver actually did a 50-foot jump.
Why?
At like 140 miles an hour on a huge ramp.
They don't need to do that, though. They can just film different angles and make it look like it's happening.
No, they got to do it for real, man. It's for the cinema. It's what
Okay, fine.
Soderberg would have done.
Yeah, that's right. That's what Soderberg would have wanted.
It was filmed on Interstate 105 and 110 at the Stack interchange, which wasn't opened at the time, so they had like full run of the place, but it was also incomplete. This is where Jan de Bont saw that there were huge gaps in the freeway, and he's like, it'd be sick if they had to jump the bus.
Yeah.
So he told Yost to add it into the script. So like the majority of the cool stuff in the movie didn't come from the screenwriter, which I find very funny.
Yeah.
And
funny.
then lastly, 2 Oscars, Best Sound Editing and Best Sound. And it made like $400 million upon its initial release. And it was made for between 30 and 37 million. So like a huge, huge box office.
You know what there's a samesy right there.
What?
You know how much Meet the Spartans cost?
30 million?
Between 30 and 37 million.
Wow.
That's actually
does
true.
not show. Must have just been rights or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had a lot of sets. The whole thing was just sets. The actors apparently didn't get paid hugely. Like Carmen Electra worked for scale, I guess.
Really?
For some reason.
What is her claim to fame? Like, who is she?
She was on Baywatch. She was on Playboy.
Yeah.
And she was a person who wanted to become a singer. So she met Prince, and Prince produced her only studio album, I guess, in 1993. And then
Excellent.
She became a Playboy model. She was on Baywatch for a year. And then she became an MTV host. And then she just kind of became an actor who would just appear in crappy movies mostly. One of which...
Speed 2.
Cruise Control. No. She was in Christmas in Wonderland.
What?
A movie that I worked on that we covered on this
right.
podcast. And I stood several feet from her every other day.
Yeah, weren't you just trying to like smell her and stuff?
No, God, no. I mean, yes. But no, she is a very short person. They all are.
They all are.
I remember I saw Jessica Alba in person when I was on the set of Good Luck, Chuck, and here in town. And I was
the town being Red Deer.
Yes. And so I was like, wow, she is a small person. They all are.
That's what people say about you, but in terms of your emotional intelligence.
Have you ever played the video game Metal Gear Solid?
No, I've heard good things.
It's very good, but the music in it is almost identical to Speed.
Oh, man. Oh, I guess we should talk about this. The Speed theme song in the credits. Did you listen to it?
Yeah.
It's so bad. It's just like a shitty, vague rock song, and they say the word speed so many times.
Nice.
Oh, man. I forgot about that. I'm glad you reminded me. I thought it was so cheesy. It almost ruined the film for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, the music... I'm talking about the score from the movie Speed, though.
No, I know. I just...
Because it's like...
I love that they have like a theme song.
Maybe we can play it and people can hear the similarities.
Put it in the pod.
Kojima, the creator of Metal Gear Solid, is a huge movie buff.
Right.
And I don't think he is above just literally ripping off like things he likes.
Yeah.
So I think he probably heard the score for Speed and was like, I ripped this off. And this is the score to Metal Gear Solid now. Okay, so let's talk samesies.
Well, I just want to reiterate the one that I said before. I feel like both of these films are just like the filmmaker trying to glob like references on top of references, or just like tropes on top of tropes. Because Speed very much feels like everything badass that Hollywood's ever done. They're like, let's just put it into a 2-hour movie.
Yeah,
and that but it works. Like they pull it off. And then obviously Meet the Spartans is just like, how many celebrity competition shows can you like reference in 70 minutes?
Seems like a lot.
Seems like a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Both movies I would say are, so both movies are kind of indictments of media culture, because just the celebrities and television shows that get kind of parodied on Meet the Spartans, and then in Speed, the media is actively reporting on the bus chase and making things worse for everybody. And like, that's been a thing that I guess has been a problem in America ever since.
Mm-hmm.
Not since the movie Speed, but just since like maybe the OJ trial.
Sensationalizing. Oh, there's like famous instances of car chases and stuff being sensationalized with helicopter news cameras and stuff.
Yeah, well, even Columbine.
Yeah.
When the Columbine shooting was happening, they were aware of what was, like, the students were watching media about it while it was happening.
Sheesh. That's
on the TVs
fucked,
in the school.
Yeah.
And that's probably gotten even worse now that everybody has a phone.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah, so I guess there's that.
I guess to kind of hop on that, both have like a shitty TV in it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like that closed circuit camera on the bus so that Dennis Hopper can see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a shitty little, black and white TV he's looking at. And Xerxes or whatever, when he becomes a robot, he's got a TV on his tum.
Yeah, and it plays the Leave Britney Alone video for some reason.
That's right.
Because of, hey, remember that?
I guess another similarity is, and this is sort of perhaps offensive because Britney Spears has been put through the ringer, but both films depict somebody with very, very short hair, which was obviously done for the film,
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Talk
about Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, Keanu Reeves buzzed his head for the movie, and so did the actor trying to be, do an impression of Britney Spears.
Yeah, the person who played Britney Spears, I believe, is a Mad TV actor.
Oh, yeah.
There's a couple of people from Mad TV in these movies.
Like Ike
Barinholtz also. She plays like Paris Hilton and Britney Spears and like two other characters, I think.
Truly.
But also, wild. I mean, if you're good at impressions, you're not above this movie.
Got to pay the rent, bro.
Pay the rent.
You would be in this film if Steven Soderberg said, Mike, I need your help. I need you to do an impression of Donkey from Shrek.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Don Corleone, because I did one earlier in this episode.
Oh, that would have been way funnier. Fuck. Yeah, well, your impression of Don Corleone is very bad.
What about, he's like, I need you to do a character who's a mashup of Don Corleone and Donkey, called Donkey Leone. And it's just like, hey, Shrek, can I stay with you?
Oh my God. Fuck. I can see the gears in your mind spinning, like trying to figure out the sound that is both of them together.
Hey, Shrek, can I stay with you?
I think you should put some cotton balls in your mouth to help you.
I think you got to put some cotton balls in your mouth.
Hey, that's pretty good. Speaking of just all of that gave me the idea. Why didn't they spoof put the lotion in the basket? Like, how he keeps pushing people in that pit? If you look down in the pit and the woman from Silence of the Lambs was down there.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be funny?
I mean,
I feel like that's right in vein.
That's a good bit.
I think I'm gonna send him an email.
Because,
dear Mr. Soderberg, I think you missed a major joke in Meet the Spartans.
Well, yeah. Dear Mr. Soderberg.
Soderberg's like, I didn't make this fucking movie. Stop sending me fan mail. Yeah. I never made any of these films. Your conspiracy is unfounded and untrue. And then I just reply, that's what somebody would say trying to protect their conspiracy.
That's right.
All you're doing is confirming that you are, in fact, Mr. Seltzer and Mr.
Friedberg.
The other one, Greenberg.
I mean, see, what you just said there, that's an example of like a good idea for a joke. Maybe not one that I would put in a movie, but just like,
no, I don't
it at
think
least makes more sense than what they do. Because they're like, hey, Britney Spears. And then he's like, kicks her into the pit, and that's as far as it goes. It's like, do the Britney Spears impression, then we'll kick you into the pit. Whereas, it's like, at least there's some kind of connection to a giant pit.
Yeah.
In Silence of the Lambs.
That makes sense. Like,
yeah.
So there are some famous pits in cinema.
You could have done Mortal Kombat. You could have done, anything else with a pit in it. Sure.
Yeah, like Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt was in the movie.
Like, I know, but like, oh yeah, I guess that's. Oh no, but Brad Pitt and Angelina are grabbing a baby.
Yeah.
It would have been funny if. Wow, this podcast is just turning into me riffing on this film to see if there's bits
just trying
that
to
they
punch
missed
it
out
up.
on. But like looking down in the pit, and then it's like, what, Brad Pitt? What are you doing down there? And he's like, how do you think I got my last name? That's the whole joke.
Yeah, I mean, would have made more sense than what they did.
Yeah. I think I gotta send Mr. Soderberg a DM on the old IG, which I don't think he has, but whatever. I'm gonna talk to his people.
Both movies have a bad guy who just kind of sits around for the whole movie.
Yes.
Like, because Dennis Hopper is always just in a room sitting and watching a TV, waiting for stuff to happen. And then Xerxes is just sitting on a chair the whole movie, pretty much. Except for when he gets into his Transformer car.
Yes.
But yeah, that's that, I guess.
Both films have a main character doing something nobody asked them to do. Nobody asked Keanu Reeves to get on that bus. He just did it out of his own volition and pride. And he's like, I got to protect these 8 people or whatever.
Yeah.
And same with Tinnitus. What? what is his name?
Leonidas?
Leonidas?
They should have called him Tinnitus.
Tinnitus is a good joke. That's funny, man.
Yeah, there you go.
You and I should rewrite the script. I feel like there's a lot of good stuff.
We should actually try and rewrite Meet the Spartans in 2022. See what happens.
Tinnitus is fucking funny. I can't believe we just figured that out. Anyways, and he like goes to war and nobody asks him to. And in the film, they give him an out.
Yeah.
And then he kicks him into the pit.
Yeah.
So it's just like interesting. I guess it's an example of like male pride and machismo really being over exaggerated for the film.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Also,
smart.
On that note, a brown-haired hunk is kind of leading a group of like-minded people, some of which are blonde.
You're only getting better at this as we do these episodes. What are we on? 102?
And also
Damn.
both, while we're talking about actors and characters, both movies have like a couple of character actors in them.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Alan Ruck plays the tourist.
Yeah.
And that lady, never learned her name, who plays the woman who wants to get off the bus.
Yeah.
She pops up in so many movies and TV shows.
That's right.
She's like the crazy mom in Donnie Darko.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Who says you can't quit Sparkle Motion or whatever.
Yeah. Alan Ruck, his character was rewritten. He was supposed to be an asshole in the movie, like a high-powered lawyer, and then they turned him into like more of a docile, afraid tourist.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Beta.
Both films have sort of just random violence. Like you see the baby getting the shit kicked out of it and stuff, and then the bus driver gets shot.
Yeah.
And
that is
like,
random.
Whoa. Like this shit, like I guess what I should say is they both have sort of these very sporadic, hyper escalating moments of violence that you don't really see coming.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's also, when there's intense action, sometimes there's slow motion.
That's right. And sometimes there's intense action and a lady watching, like Sandra Bullock or the lady from Baywatch. What's
Carmen
her name?
Electra?
Carmen Electra. Carmen Electra, yeah.
Yeah.
They both watch because they're perverts.
There are lots of perverts in these movies.
Yeah.
Both movies have a lot of bombs in them.
Yes.
Because Speed has like bombs on the bus, bombs in the train, bombs in the house, bombs in the elevator.
Bombs in the bag of money.
Bombs in the bag of money. Yeah, there's another one. Yeah. And then in Meet the Spartans, every joke
is a bomb.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's great, Mike. I love that. I knew that's where you're going, and I'm a big fan of your work.
Thank
that was
you.
nice. That was nice. If we were, oh sorry,
I was gonna say, is there some sort of connection between in Meet the Spartans? There's a part where they're battling, and then the shields are clearly made out of foam because you can see them bounce every time they get hit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not. They look like metal, but they're really clearly foam.
Yeah.
Is there some fake? I mean, every prop is fake. What am I talking about?
There's a bunch of fake stuff. Well, a bunch of the buses were like retrofitted and faked, but also they had to CG. There's a bunch of green screen bits.
Oh, really? I didn't notice.
And apparently they had to CG a ton of the signs. Like road signs didn't make sense.
Oh, okay.
And so there's a bunch of computer generated images, but they're just of road signs to justify where they're going.
That's cool.
Which is a very like subtle, not cool thing to do in visual effects. Like, oh yeah, we're just making it so that the signs are going in the right direction, like telling you where you're going.
Yeah.
Because they're just filming on a loop, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. So both movies kind of have like boring visual effects.
That's cool.
To create an illusion.
Well, there's actually a green screen joke in Meet the Spartans where they talk about having a giant army and then they just have a green screen and then they pop up.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I feel like, was Meet the Spartans filmed in LA?
Oh, I bet. Of course it was.
Yeah. And so is Speed. So they're both LA based films.
Both movies feel like 2 hours.
That's right.
Even though one is just a bit over an hour long.
Yes.
With 10 minutes of credits and 10 minutes of bloopers.
Yes.
So they mercifully cut the jokes out of the movie that weren't good enough to be in it, but they still included them. You just had to like wade through a couple of credits to find them.
It's like finding gold at the end of the rainbow, but instead of gold, it's just a bunch of happy feet penguins trying to kick the shit out of you.
Yeah. In both movies, a character gets decapitated.
Oh, that's
Dennis
good.
Hopper, spoiler alert, gets his head knocked off when he's
That's right.
fighting on the train with Keanu Reeves.
I would also assume that maybe that lady got decapitated when she got run over by the bus.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't remember which character gets decapitated in Meet the Spartans. It's one of the titular Spartans, but oh, there's another similarity. Both movies are titular. There's Spartans and there is Speed. Also, you can't spell Meet the Spartans without the word speed. It's hidden in there.
That's right.
So,
Just like Berg and Seltzer.
that's right.
Steven Soderberg made the film.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess this one's very loosey-goosey, and it's going to take me about 15 minutes to explain.
Oh, that's
that
always a great setup.
Steven Soderberg made Meet the Spartans as we've come to know.
Yes.
And he has famously become his own cinematographer for the majority of his films post, I believe, the second Ocean's film.
Right.
And famously, Jan de Bont or whatever is a cinematographer turned director.
Very good.
And he probably had a pretty heavy hand on the cinematography of Speed. So I think there's a similarity there.
Yeah, Steven Soderberg will occasionally shoot a movie and not even direct it.
He'll just DP it. Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of fun.
It is fun.
Both movies feature characters going a bit stir crazy.
Yeah.
Because there's that moment in the bus where everybody's just kind of like done with being on this bus. Not unlike how I'm done with COVID.
Yeah, or when I got trapped on that riverboat till 4 a.m, and it was really funny, and we all got drunk, but then we all started sobering up, and it was still 4 a.m, and the fire department hadn't gotten us off the boat.
Yeah.
And everyone, you could just feel it turn into this like, it's over. Like we can go home now.
Yeah.
The charm wore off.
Yeah.
2 hours after last call.
Life for You was not a riverboat fantasy.
No, but I had a great time. It was fun. It was awesome.
You did watch the sun go down.
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
It was anticlimactic and wonderful. It was cool going under a bridge on a boat. That's not a thing you do very often.
No.
It's kind of a cool sensation. But then we technically sank because the bottom of our boat touched the bottom of the body of water we were floating on, which is sinking.
Really?
The river was really shallow and we got stuck on a chunk of sand and we couldn't move. And then it blew up because we stopped moving. If we went below 3 knots, we were going to blow up.
Were there any cocaine kisses or moonshine misses on this riverboat?
Yeah, exclusively.
Okay.
That's why we were on the boat. It was a great night and it was fun. And we shot for like 35 minutes and then we just started drinking beers. And there's dueling pianos and you could hear the 2 piano players like just doing cover tune after cover tune. And you could see they were just getting exhausted.
I was going to ask, so if there was a rock and roll band on the boat or a reefer in your hand?
Both.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Did you pull up the lyrics and are you reading them to me?
Yeah.
Or is this all from your memory?
No, I thought that I remembered.
Fan?
I thought I remembered the lyrics to Riverboat Fantasy, but
it's one of his lesser, it's not laying pipe. It's not Bad Apple.
No.
I love Wilcox. What a legend.
But I mean, we can't go see him in concert because every time he comes through town and he's playing a casino, tickets are like almost $100. And it's like, I do not have the money for that kind of like ironic ticket purchase.
I know. Dire Straits and Rod Stewart are coming.
Yeah, that's right.
And the tickets are expensive.
I thought that he was playing with Cheap Trick.
Oh, sorry, Cheap Trick. Yeah. Not Dire Straits.
But the original drummer is not in
Mark
the band.
Knopfler. What?
I said the original drummer from Cheap Trick's not in the band. I don't know if I want to see it.
I'll go.
Yeah.
I just want to see them do The Flame and Dream Police. I love Cheap Trick.
Yeah, Cheap Trick are great. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we should go, Mike.
Maybe, yeah.
We can both get COVID together. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. Anyway, back to the pod. Or back to the topic at hand. Yeah.
Oh, I stopped recording like 30 minutes ago. I thought we were just hanging out. I'm sorry.
Oh God.
Just kidding.
This will be hell to edit. It's like I have to make this make sense.
You just have to like do an impression of me and re-record my half.
Yeah.
No, that would be terrible. That'd be terrible.
I'm Bob. Doi. I'm stupid.
Hey. Okay, I got another similarity.
Okay, sure.
So when Keanu Reeves shoves his head under the bus to examine the bomb and he can't really see it, he sees one thing very quickly, and it's a gross little green baby barfing on the road. He's like, "Oh my God, what a gross baby!" Just like in Meet the Spartans,
the opening Shrek.
When they open it and it's Shrek. There's somebody doing a very bad Shrek impression.
Oh yes, terrible.
Yeah.
What I liked about Speed was that there's constant tension in the film. Like every time you think things couldn't get worse, they somehow amp it up.
Yeah, I got 50 reasons for why there's constant tension, and they're called miles per hour, my man. Okay? Shit.
Yeah.
Imagine doing 20 clicks. It's just so boring. It's like, actually, if you just like sprint, you can get on and off the bus.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's just, there's something underwhelming about that.
And in Meet the Spartans, there's a constant tension of just waiting for the movie to end.
Yeah. I think I was more tense. Actually, I'll tell you what I did. I did an amazing double feature with Speed. I did Speed and then Con Air. Have you ever seen Con Air?
I have, yeah.
Dude. Oh, fuck. What a great night. I had a great night. I had like 6 beers and watched those 2 movies and ate some fettuccine.
Sounds
Maybe
good.
one of the best days of my life.
That sounds good.
And I had never seen Con Air before, and I was satisfied.
That sounds very good.
I love in Con Air, I know that's not what we're talking about, but
no, that's
I'm
fine.
going to make a little digression here. The amount of times John Malkovich says, "Welcome to," takes a huge pause, almost looks in the lens and says, "Con Air."
Yeah.
It didn't take away from the film. If anything, it added to the film.
There's a lot of good titular films where they say the title.
Yeah. Like Shrek. They say that guy's name all the time.
So many times.
And then they say Shrek 2. They're like, "Hey, Shrek, too many people in your house. It's getting crowded."
So we're going to play a game.
Oh boy. Yes.
You're going to play a game.
What's the line from Saw? You want to play a game?
Yeah, do you want to play a game? In Speed,
that.
they do play a game, technically.
Well, a game of life or death.
It's the game of life or death. Yeah, it's a game. Yeah. It's a game for that character that Dennis Hopper plays.
Why didn't he call it Need for Speed? Because they literally needed speed.
I don't know. I don't think Need for Speed as a franchise existed yet. So they
didn't, and that's why I'm curious why they didn't take it. Because that would have been fun.
Why didn't they call it the bus that couldn't slow down?
Don't worry, I have a plan. I saw this in a movie about a bus that had to speed around the city, keeping its speed over 50. And if its speed dropped, it would explode. I think it was called The Bus That Couldn't Slow Down.
So we're going to play a game called Pop Quiz Asshole.
Nice.
Not unlike the movie
I love
Speed.
That.
But I am going to quiz you on references from the films of Seltzer and Friedberg / Soderberg.
Right.
I haven't planned this out.
Yeah, I can tell.
Name 3 celebrities that they reference in Meet the Spartans.
Britney Spears, Dane Cook, and Donald Trump.
Very good. Okay, that's good. You passed.
Or Lindsay Lohan. Let me see. Wait.
Bonus points.
Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie. I would say Shrek is a celebrity.
I would agree. Yeah.
Okay. And I know there's like a million. Howie Mandel?
No, he's not
Because
in
of
it.
the. I thought.
No, they don't even include him in it. They just do
weird.
Deal or No
Just
Deal.
this show.
Yeah.
Simon from like Paula Abdul, Simon, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Ugly Betty Lady.
Yeah, Ugly Betty. Wow, okay. You're remembering a lot of them.
Yeah, I didn't even watch this film. I was scrolling Instagram the whole time. Anyways, that's kind of all I got, I think.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
You missed Sanjaya from American Idol.
Who?
Sanjaya.
Who the fuck is that?
He's the guy with the funny hair from American Idol.
Oh, I would never have guessed that.
And that's totally fine. I didn't know who that guy was until just now. Yeah, George W. Bush, Kevin Federline.
Oh, right.
Tyra
right.
Banks. Rambo. Ellen? That's right.
Oh, there's another samesies. Ellen was going to be Annie.
Oh, you're
and,
right.
Ellen is in this film.
That's
Holy
crazy.
shit.
Great. Okay, so there you go. What are 3 pop culture references that have nothing to do with 300? Like, what is some intellectual property that they parody?
Oh, Shrek. So Shrek.
Mm-hmm.
Transformers.
Mm-hmm.
Ghost Rider, you said?
Yeah, that was wild.
Ghost Rider was a crazy one, and it's just a fucking fire extinguisher to his head.
Yeah.
So
they
dumb.
must have thought that was going to be a big movie or something. Maybe
yeah,
it was
I
a big
guess.
movie when they were
It
shooting
was huge. Ghost Rider was massive. The first one did really well.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
No, it did really, really well, yeah.
But is it part of the MCU?
Not. Oh, no, it's not.
No, I think it predates the MCU by a year or two.
Yeah, and I don't think they would have included it. Imagine Hellrider like fucking up Thanos.
Yeah, the thing is, Ghost Rider is just a little bit off of the beaten path for like what is a superhero, you know?
It's like Jonah Hex.
Yeah.
That's a Marvel film, or even like Daredevil. You know, there's just a couple of characters that you're like, you suck. I don't want you anywhere near ScarJo and Chris Evans. You know, stay away. Yeah, Hawkeye was fucking pushing it, but whatever.
Okay, well, I mean, you got a couple. You missed Stomp the Yard.
Right.
Missed Rambo, but whatever.
Oh, Rocky, Rambo. Yeah, there's a bunch of Stallone stuff.
There's also like a long Grand Theft Auto part in the movie.
Oh, the video game. Yes, that's right. That was really hard to watch.
Yeah, it was a bit rough, yeah.
It was so bad.
I bet that killed with 10-year-olds, though. They love both of those things.
Probably.
Okay, moving on to date movie. I'm not even tabulating your score, but so far you're doing well.
Okay, thank you. I've never seen Date Movie.
Pop quiz, asshole. So now we're going to talk about Date Movie, which is a parody of rom-coms.
Yes. Okay.
I know you haven't seen it, so this is when things get more challenging. So name 5 rom-coms that they parody. They reference.
I'm gonna guess How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
So just for a reference, this will make your job easier.
Oh,
I'll give you a hint. It came out in 2006 or 7, I think. So everything from this is kind of 2000s going forward.
So probably a lot of Dane Cook, hey? What's the... Oh, fuck, man. This is really tough. Because How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is from 2002 or something.
Oh, yeah, maybe you're right, but they don't...
What about Ghosts of Girlfriends Past? Do they reference that film?
No.
I honestly have no idea because... Like they don't reference When Harry Met Sally or like Sleepless in Seattle. Oh.
They do, those two.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but those are...
You've Got Mail?
No.
The Renee Zellweger Diary, the something Diary.
Yeah. Bridget Jones's Diary, half point for that.
Okay, thank you.
And then think J-Lo.
Oh, Made in Manhattan or The Wedding Planner.
Wedding Planner, okay.
Yeah, okay.
So,
great,
that's enough. We can move on from there.
Yeah.
So
I did okay. That's not bad. I've never seen the film. I'm glad they included When Harry Met Sally. That would have been very disappointing.
We're going to move on to Epic Movie.
Yeah.
There we go.
Very good. I've seen Epic Movie, but it's been a long, long time.
Okay, so this movie is kind of all over the place in terms of what it references.
Don't they reference 300 in this movie?
They do not.
Oh, I thought they did.
They reference Casino Royale, even though they also reference Casino Royale in
Lazy.
Meet the Spartans a year later.
Lazy.
And they also do Lord of the Rings in this as well. So
sloppy. These
what
guys.
is What are two MTV properties that are mentioned in this film or parodied?
Punked?
Yes.
That show Cribs or whatever?
Yeah. Wow, you got it.
Wow, what a shot in the dark that last one was.
Okay, what are two Johnny Depp films that are referenced in this film?
Edward Scissorhands.
No. Think the era that it came out.
Oh, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Uh-huh.
And fuck. Shit. Fuck. I don't know. What is
beep, 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 beep. Okay, time's up. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, I see. I forgot he was in that. Now Timothy Chalamet is going to be the character again.
What is the one Harry Potter movie that they reference in this film? Epic movie.
Prisoner of Azkaban.
No,
Goblet of Fire.
that's correct.
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense with the competition.
Yeah. Name two comedy things of this era, 2006,
Yeah.
that are referenced in this.
American Pie.
No. There's like 3 or 4 things that are comedies, and they appear in Epic Movie, just kind of saying the thing that they do. You know, it's like a parody of a parody.
Oh no.
A joke about a joke. So
Do they joke about Scary Movie?
no.
Oh, this is a tough one.
Yeah.
Does it involve Dane Cook?
No.
Okay.
Just think of like the biggest comedies of 2006, or just things that are like had staying power back then. Some of them didn't really go on to be.
This is tough. I feel like I don't know comedies very well from that era.
That's fine. We can move on.
Well, give me an example. Like, I just want to know what they did.
Nacho Libre was one of them.
Oh, fuck. Right. With Jack Black.
And then also the Saturday Night Live song Lazy Sunday, like the rap about going to the movies.
Right.
I guess they just pay tribute to that, I guess.
There's no way I would have guessed either of those.
Yeah. That's why these movies are great, because they really have their finger on the pulse of how to tell a funny joke, I guess.
And what will hold up 15 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
Sheesh. Wow. That sounds like a terrible film.
Oh, they're all bad. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, like trying to reverse engineer a film you've never seen, and then you do, and you're like, that sounds horrible. Why would I want to sit through that? Great test.
Great stuff. So anyway, you scored minus 27,000 points. So
wow.
But you still won.
Better than last time.
Yeah, I don't know that I like listening to people do quizzes or like do games on podcasts, but I put the Kanines through it, I guess. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, you're a very cruel person.
Thank you.
You like to inflict on those that you don't want to be inflicted upon yourself, you know?
Yes, that's how I do. What can I say? Some people call me a bad apple.
Bad apple because of all the pipe you lay, buddy. Jeez.
So, say the thing.
This feels very over.
Nice. Yeah,
extremely over.
All right. So next week's episode, we are going to take a break from tradition, and instead of talking about movies, we're going to talk about food, specifically desserts. So come back next week for From Justin to Cake.
That's right. Make sure those jowls are dripping wet and salivating, because we're going to be talking about food in a visceral way.
Yes.
And it's going to be awesome. Okay. Well, it feels even more over now.
Yeah. Bye.
Goodbye.